Yes, people, welcome back to the first XI, the United. This is the player focus, and today we'll be focusing on Luke Shaw. Do us a favor, please subscribe to the channel, like the stream, get your comments in. Even if you're watching it on the playback, please put your comments down below, or you can follow us on our socials. Everything's in the description, and tweet us or message us on Instagram. But Rachel's worked really hard on this player focus for Luke Shaw. So yeah, Rachel, take it away.
Cool. Yeah, we're just gonna go through like a lot of the good attributes that Luke Shaw sort of demonstrated this season and compare him a little bit to what he's done in previous seasons as well. He's been Manchester United's most consistent performer, I would say. He's been a solid 7 out of 10 in most of the games. So I think it's really important that we highlight that in this. We're going to go through a few things that he's not so great at as well. It's not going to be a Luke Shaw love fest sort of thing. It's going to be a bit of everything. And we're going to compare him a little bit to some other players that play in his position in the league who are doing quite well as well. Yep. So we're just going to switch it here. Oh. And then we'll just get started. Like, let us know in the comments like what you think as well. If there's anything you agree with or disagree with. Obviously, everyone has their preferences on how they like their left backs to play. What they think of Luke Shaw. I know a lot of people had strong feelings about him last season and the season before, but I would say a lot of those feelings have sort of subsided a little bit since this season. So just basic player profile here. We know he's 25 years old. I actually thought he was older than 25, to be honest with you. I didn't realize he's still got his prime years to come, which is pretty great.
It feels like he's been around for like 20 years, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it feels like around forever.
Crazy. Yeah, he would have come to us when he was like 19, 20. So, you know, he's got things that he can improve on, and he's got time to do it as well, which is great. A few of his strengths here, like this season, he's been a consistent performer. We know that he gets up and down the pitch very well, a lot better than what he used to anyway. I think he's a really good passer of the ball, and I think he's always been a decent passer of the ball. Same with his crosses and same with his dribbling. He just didn't demonstrate it as often in previous seasons. But I think some of his weaknesses that people don't speak about are here as well. He does commit quite a few fouls. He's slow to confront crosses, and I'm going to show a few examples of him actually costing us goals this season. And the organization leadership thing is going to be for every single defender that we do a player focus on at the moment, because I feel like that's something that has cost us multiple times this season. I don't think we have a defender that actually has demonstrated many organizational leadership skills. So that's going to be there for all of them. Injury prone question mark is there because traditionally he has been injury prone, but this season he's actually done pretty well. So we're just going to keep it there as a question mark. We don't really know how that will progress in the next season. And he's very one-footed, like a lot of left footers. He's very one-footed. Yeah. He doesn't use his right foot very often, but he does play as a left back. Though. So he can.
Sometimes he does pass with his right foot. You know. There are. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of players that are only 1 foot, but he's a lot more comfortable than some others.
Yeah, a lot of the images, a lot of the clips that I was looking at, he didn't use his right foot often. Obviously, every player can use their other foot, but he doesn't like to use it very often. He doesn't actually need to because he's always on the left side and he's going outside of the winger on the overlap. He doesn't have to actually use his right foot that often when it comes to crossing and passing anyway. So it's not a big deal, but it is a weakness, I would say. So we're going to have a look at his positioning before this season. There's a massive difference here. I know a lot of people believe that Luke Shaw's overall performances are literally because of Alex Telles and the competition that's brought in, but there's actually quite a few. There's various factors to it, including the Alex Telles thing, but there's actually a lot more to it. So I picked up a couple of heat map images for the games after the restart when we had the first lockdown, because we were playing quite well. For about 4 or 5 games, we played really well. But Luke Shaw was still doing the same things in these games that he was doing before the restart and in previous seasons. And he wasn't contributing a lot to the attack. So you can see against Southampton, this was a 2-2 game. You can see he spent a lot of time in this sort of area, so he was still part of the build-up. But in the final third, he wasn't doing too much, especially like getting to the byline, which he does quite a lot now, and getting crosses into the box. He didn't actually do that. And in this game, we won against Sheffield United 3-0, and you can see the areas that he was sort of in quite often. But he didn't get into the box, didn't get to the half space sort of areas that he goes into now. He didn't get into the byline and put crosses in either. So he didn't actually contribute too much to the attack, even though we won the game 3-0 and we actually played quite well in this game. He wasn't one of like the stand-up performers. He didn't actually do anything special in the game. You compare that to the positioning this season. This was against West Brom, where we didn't play very well as a team, but Luke Shaw was actually still decent. He's still doing Luke Shaw things. And look at this. This is a game that we didn't play very well, but look at where Luke Shaw starts to move into. He starts to move into the box. He starts to get to the byline. You know, he's pushed up a lot more. And you can see already there's a massive difference. Same thing at Manchester City. Obviously, we played a bit of a deeper line at times in this game. We didn't dominate the ball. But even then, Luke Shaw had more touches in the box in a game that we beat City in 2-0, having played a bit more defensive, compared to a game against Sheffield United the previous season, where we won 3-0 and we dominated the game. So you can see there's a different sort of intent from Luke Shaw this season in terms of attacking output. And this one's against Liverpool in the FA Cup. I picked this one because I didn't think Luke Shaw played particularly well in this game. I think he was pretty average, but he still had more touches in the box than what he did against Sheffield United in the 3-0 win. He still got to the byline. He still impacted the game, basically, even though he didn't have the best of games. So you can see like his influence in games is a lot higher this season. He's doing a lot more for the team in attacking areas, which is obviously like really good for us. And there's also the fact that when he's positioned, the way he's positioned defensively, he's also like going up and down the pitch. So he's recovering, which is something that he didn't do before either. I don't know if you remember, like before, people were always complaining about Luke Shaw. He wouldn't get back into position very well, and he'd leave a lot of space, like in the next image, where he was not quite in line with the defense. He was recovering, but you could see the Newcastle winger here. He's got a lot of space that he can run into, and Luke Shaw's way behind the play. So there's a massive difference between what Luke Shaw was doing and what he's doing now.
Sorry.
That's all right. And then here's just a bit of offensive play. He's playing a 1-2 with Marcus Rashford. He picks up the ball, gets to the byline, runs into the half space with the ball, plays a ball across to Greenwood, where Greenwood fluffs his lines a little bit. I don't know if you remember it against West Ham. But you can see his intention this season is to get into the box and actually try and make good enough plays for us to get goals. Did the same thing against Liverpool. We beat... and this one here, this is the Bruno Fernandes chance. I think it was in the 0-0 in the Premier League. And Alisson makes a very, very good save. Now, I wanted to speak about basically why he's improved this season. And as we said before, Alex Telles has played a part in that. But there is actually another factor as well. First of all, Luke Shaw is fitter. He's fitter. He's more confident. We all know, I don't know how many people watching have had horrible injuries. As speaking from experience, it does affect you mentally and physically. And the injury that he had, double leg break, and he also developed blood clots. I don't know if anyone knew that, which are very, very serious when it comes to injuries. Having a blood clot in your leg. Yeah, he had blood clots in his leg, and that could have killed him. So mentally and physically, it really affected Luke Shaw. And it took him a really long time to recover. And obviously, he kept getting injuries after as well, which set him back, which obviously adds to the psychological aspect. So this season, he's fitter. He's not getting as many injuries. He just seems a lot more confident because of that. I mean, when you've had an injury and you come back, how often do players come back from injury and they're instantly going into tackles, instantly get into situations where they can be impacted by a tackle? Like it does affect you mentally. So I think a lot of people were very harsh on Luke Shaw, to be honest with you, with some of the things that they said. But I understand the frustration. It's very difficult. But the third thing I can understand it on another level, on a lot smaller level. Playing football, I tore my ligaments in my ankle, and it probably took me 3 seasons. Now I'm not an elite athlete or anything. But it probably took me 3 seasons before I was back to playing the way I like to play football. You know, I found myself jumping out of tackles. Yeah. You know, so that it's and I actually ended up getting a problem in so it was my right ankle, but I ended up getting a problem in my left knee, where my body was overcompensating. So yeah, I mean, a double leg break and then to come back is outstanding. It's incredible. Yeah, it is, absolutely. There's also a third factor that people are not going to give Ollie credit for. So Luke Shaw under Jose Mourinho, I don't know if people noticed, but Luke Shaw, even though he was playing as a left back in a back four, he was actually playing as like a sort of a left centre back. His positioning was not so. Basically, Jose Mourinho asked Luke Shaw to play very narrow defensively and offensively, and this was to cover for Paul Pogba when he pushed up the pitch under Jose Mourinho. He didn't want Luke Shaw committing too far forward, so he played him quite narrow. So he sort of played as a left centre back, which is why when he played as a left centre back under Ollie in a back three, he actually looked very comfortable. When he had the ball, he'd actually step into midfield. And you could see, like, people said he's better as a left centre back in a back three. Why don't we do that more often? It's because he was basically playing that sort of role under Jose Mourinho. And then when Ollie came in, Ollie prefers to play with wider fullbacks, getting up the pitch on and supporting the attack. So Ollie had to get that sort of mindset of how he played under Jose Mourinho and switch it to try and get him more attacking. Then you combine that with the fact that he wasn't confident, it can be very difficult to get him out of that mindset. But he's showing that this season. So tactically, like, his positioning and his role as a left back has actually changed this season. And it started, I would say, about 3 or 4 games into the season. He was still in that sort of left centre back mode. He was still doing it after the restart, and he started to change that. And he's gotten better and better throughout the season. Do
you think Tellez coming in though has sparked that a bit, given that extra little push?
Yeah, I think it's a multitude of factors. I think the Tellez thing, his confidence and his fitness and his role change, I think all 3 of them contribute. Obviously, people will just look at Tellez and be like, oh, he's got competition, so now he's doing well. But I think it's a multitude of reasons why he's doing well. And Alex Tellez is part of that. I'm sure he's giving him advice because, like, now Luke Shaw's taking set pieces. So he's obviously giving him advice, working with him as well. I'm sure, like, that's a massive factor as well. I think all of it is a factor in why Luke Shaw has gotten better throughout this season. But, like, this isn't to say Luke Shaw is perfect. I mean, we spoke about this in the Man United, like, the tactical review. We didn't focus too much on Luke Shaw. We focused more on sort of the forwards. But Luke Shaw does have this in him as well, where he sort of walks around. He doesn't contribute. When the ball's on the right side, it feels like Luke Shaw doesn't have the drive to sort of get forward in other areas. He only seems to contribute to the attacks more if they start on the left side. So when it's on the right, he doesn't seem to do the same sort of thing. Doesn't seem to make the right intelligent runs at times.
You're saying he doesn't have the awareness?
Yeah, awareness and
or is it desire?
I don't think it's desire, because he's shown a lot of the desire this season. I think sometimes, like you said, it could be more the awareness, more just like knowing what to do. Sometimes he does look a bit. Whenever we've changed formations, he doesn't look like the same player because he doesn't quite understand what role he's playing as well. But again, that will come with time and maybe playing those formations more often. Sometimes, like, when you change a formation, you have to work it. You can't just switch to a certain formation that plays differently to another one and then expect players to completely get it the first time. It does take time to get used to a new formation. But Luke Shaw, like, as I said, he has improved in this area. It's just sometimes he does have a habit of not making the right movements when the ball's on the right side. But overall, like we said before, he has improved in this area and he will continue to do so, hopefully.
I'm still getting over he's 25. Do you know what I mean? I forget that he's 25 years old.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's at least another 5 years of Luke Shaw, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's got his fundamentals down. It's just about him maintaining consistency, isn't it? Improving on the little things that he can still work on, and then maintaining consistency, and he'll be a great left back for us for the next few years. And that's all you wanted from Luke Shaw, isn't it? We want him to be a consistent performer in the team. He's been great this season. We're going to have a look at his defensive attributes first, actually. Overall, I think defensively, he's been quite sound with a lot of things. He's going into tackles more, as we spoke about. He's actually confronting players. He's not scared to go into a tackle. See it here. This one's actually quite funny. Gabriel Jesus goes flying in this in the clip. I don't know how he goes flying. He just bounces off Luke Shaw like it's nothing. But Luke Shaw doesn't care. Luke Shaw will go into these sort of tackles now. Does the same thing here. It's actually quite risky what Luke Shaw does, because you can see there's a Man City player here and no one's marking him. If the ball goes through, there's a lot of space for Manchester City. But Luke Shaw's confident. He knows he'll get the ball when he doesn't care. And he starts to do this more often. He's done this more often this season. And Mo Salah as well. They're in this little bit here. Mo Salah has had a torrid time against Luke Shaw. For whatever reason, Luke Shaw just has Mo Salah's number. He's played very well against him in the last couple of seasons, whether he's played as a centre back or a left back. He's not scared to tackle. He reads the game quite well, especially with certain sort of wingers. He does very, very well in these situations, and he positions quite well as well.
He likes to challenge, Luke Shaw, doesn't he?
Yeah, and
he seems to have worse games when you play lesser quality opposition. For me, I think the better the opposition, the better he seems to play or seems to push himself, if that makes sense. Like there's more energy about him. There's more of a buzz about him on the pitch. It doesn't always come off for him. He hasn't been great the last few seasons, obviously since the break. Yeah, the leg break. But yeah, that's where for me Luke Shaw does need to improve. Is have an outstanding game when everybody else is dead. Like, can you be the player who really steps up in a dead game against West Brom? Do you know what I mean? Can you be that light?
I think, do you know what? He does try to be fair, but a lot of Luke Shaw's play does come from him linking up with, say, Marcus Rashford. So when he's linking up with Marcus Rashford, if he's having one of his sort of Rashford games, you know, those games where he doesn't quite make the right decisions. His movement off the ball is very good, but once he gets the ball, Marcus Rashford sometimes doesn't use Luke Shaw's overlap, or he will dribble into players, things like that. If our front line are having one of those games and they're not using Luke Shaw, or our midfield's not finding Luke Shaw, because sometimes he does make very good runs, there's only so much he can do without dribbling through an entire team, and he has tried to do that a few times as well, Luke Shaw. But I think overall, defensively, Luke Shaw is very good. I think his positioning at times is a bit dodgy, and I think the way he deals with crosses. I think our whole backline is very poor at dealing with crosses, which we're going to show as well. I mean, it's really, really frustrating the way they deal with crosses. Oh yeah, these are just a couple of blocks. Again, positionally, with our fullbacks, we do tuck our fullbacks in. Do you remember when we spoke about the overloads and half spaces? Our fullbacks tuck in, our inside forwards, and one of the players of the pivot will come back and help the defense, so that we've got overloads. So it just means that we outnumber the opposition team in certain areas, and it comes from our fullbacks being quite narrow. And this allows Luke Shaw to block shots in these sort of areas, which he does quite well. Did the same thing again against Tottenham with Lucas Moura. And remember, in this situation, it was right in the beginning of the game. Luke Shaw had quite a bit of ground to cover because our whole team shifted to the other side. And Lucas Moura had so much space, and Luke Shaw closed him down quite well. So he's good at with blocks. He's good at tackling. He's not afraid to do it. He keeps his body big so that when he does block, there's more chance of him blocking it rather than not blocking it. So we're going to speak about this crossing thing because when it comes to how Manchester United like to defend, we spoke about fullbacks tucking in. We spoke about overloads. But what we didn't speak about is why we have overloads in those areas and where we like the ball to be when we're defending. And one of the places we like it to be is outside of the box, not in the byline area. We want it to be as far out from the box as possible, more like a deeper cross coming in, because there's only one or two players that can actually put in ridiculous balls from those areas. One of them is Trent Alexander-Arnold, who we know has always had a torrid time against United anyway, so we know how to deal with him defensively. But we have trouble when players get into these areas here. Yeah. We defend them really poorly. And one of the reasons for that is because Luke Shaw does not confront crosses quick enough. There is too much space between him, the ball, and the opposition player. And he's cost us a few times this season with this. This one's against Everton. It's the 3-3 game. This is the equaliser when James Rodriguez scores. The ball starts on the left side, so on AWB side. Comes in. And as soon as the ball gets to this player, Luke Shaw is jogging to him. He's not sprinting to confront him. There's a lot of space. There's enough space here for a player to pick out a pass very easily. And then Rodriguez drifts into the box. Obviously, Fred should be, probably looking at him there, but we're not focusing on Fred. We're focusing on Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw here, he has to stop this cross from coming in, and he doesn't do it, which is really poor, and we concede from it.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that is with Luke Shaw? Is he waiting for the attacker to make the first move? What does he not want to be sucked into it? What's happening there with him? Do you think?
I don't know what it is, because he's done it a few times. This one's against Bright. He's done it a few times where he just doesn't close down quick enough. I don't know if it's a lack of desire or maybe it's a lack of awareness. And by the time he realizes where the danger is,
he must know where the danger is, though. Surely, he's
I don't know what it is.
Professional footballer.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you what it is, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I don't think it's laziness, because we know that he gets up and down the pitch, so he's not a lazy player. He's just not. It's not bravery, because he blocks shots just fine. He goes into tackles just fine. I don't know what it is, but this is a problem with both of our fullbacks. When Aaron Wan-Bissaka is defending one-on-one, and it comes down to like a player trying to dribble past him, it's not gonna work. But when it comes to closing down crosses in these sort of areas, for some reason we don't deal with them, and that's both
sides, is it?
Yeah, it's more so on Luke Shaw's side, to be fair. I think a lot of teams prefer to play around Aaron Wan-Bissaka when they're attacking us. You can play around Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We know he's good one-on-one, but positionally he's not great, and in the air is not so great. But on Luke Shaw's side, when it comes to crossing, for some reason he does not close down crosses enough. I don't know what it is. I mean, if you look at this one's the 3-2 win against Brighton, right? Where Solly March scores at the back post.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look at the distance. It's kind of the same distance as what Luke Shaw was in here. So a part of me wonders if this is what he's being told to do, but I don't think it is, because it doesn't make any sense, does it?
That's what I was going to ask you. How often does that happen with AWB? Is it about the same as Luke Shaw?
Do you know what? I'd have to check it. Actually,
it'd be interesting to know that. Do you know what I mean? Whether it is a tactical thing, in some way.
Yeah, I'd have to research it actually and have a look at it. But I don't know. It's a weird one, because, like I said, we don't deal with crosses very well. It's why we defend in a way that stops players from getting into these positions. But when someone gives the ball away, if we lose position in silly areas, players know that that's our weakness. In defensive areas, they know that getting to the byline will give them an advantage. So that's how we can see these sort of goals. And then, like, there's an identical one. This is against Brighton again, not so long ago. Exactly the same thing. We can speak about the other defenders, their roles in this goal. Don't get me wrong. We can speak about the fact that we gave the ball away in this stupid area. I think it was Paul Pogba, wasn't it, who gave the ball away? We can speak about all those things. But Luke Shaw, again, does not confront this cross. And we concede from it. I think it was Danny Welbeck, wasn't it, who scored this goal? Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know what it is. And in this situation here, this is Luke Shaw's man. Luke Shaw's supposed to confront this cross. It's not like, a player's in there where he's 1v2. This is 1v1. So I don't really know what that's about. I mean, if you look at the others, Luke Shaw's in a good place to close it down. Luke Shaw should be closing this down. Again, I don't know what it is. But he needs to get better at this, because we can see too many goals from these sort of areas. We just don't know how to deal with it for whatever reason. And the reason why we don't want our players defending these sort of areas is because positionally, we are not good enough in defense at times. There's a lack of organization. Most of the time, our defenders don't seem to know where the other defenders are. Because if you remember against Brighton in the game when we won 3-2, we have 3 centre-backs on the pitch. So you've got Bailly, Maguire, Lindelof, and we have Luke Shaw and AWB. Look how narrow they are. Yeah. In a back five in this situation, remember, this is not like us playing a back four. Yeah. And it happens all the time, doesn't it? Whenever we concede from crosses, this happens all the time. And this isn't a system issue. This is players not concentrating the same way we concede from set pieces. For some reason, there's a lack of organization, a lack of leadership, and just a lack of concentration, and it happens with all of them. It's weird because you're taught at a very young age to pick up your man. It's a strange thing. It is. Yeah, I can't really get my head around that one. You're going to have to do some research on that one as well. Find out why it's happening for everyone. Yeah, I don't think it's something me and Daniel spoke about. I can't, and me and you have spoke about, but I can't figure out why that would be. Why you would just let the opposition run into space in the box.
I think that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, do you know what? Like midfield runners and all that kind of stuff. Like you need a level. Like it's an awareness issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
As you said before, it's an awareness issue. It's a bit of intelligence. Some of our players, I'm sorry to say it, but they're just not intelligent players. They're not aware, and they're not. They switch off. Like you don't concede the amount of goals that we have to set pieces without there being a fundamental issue with the way our players, their attitude and their sort of mentality, if you know what I mean. There's a fundamental issue there that really does have to be addressed. And I don't know. I couldn't explain it to you, if I'm being honest with you. I just know that this is something that Luke Shaw does have a weakness with, and he has to improve on it. So I'm not really a big stats person, but thank you to Danny who gave these stats to me.
Shout out to Danny. Go and check out his channel as well, please.
Yeah,
Devil in the details. Incredible.
Yeah, definitely check him out. I just wanted to highlight a few things because you can see these are like probably the top 5-6 left backs in the league, right? You've got Kieran Tierney, João Cancelo, Ben Chilwell, Luca Dini, and Andy Robertson. Very, very good players. If you look at their numbers, there's not really too much between them. And like, I know that like Luca Dini with the defensive actions per 90, there's actually quite a big difference between him and everyone else. And then João Cancelo as well. But like the numbers, they're not massively different. I think all of these players are very, very good players. I think that overall, like statistically, I'd say Luke Shaw fares very well against them. You know, like defensive duels per 90 is better than Kieran Tierney and Andy Robertson. Not so good against the others. You can see like numbers wise, there isn't that much difference. I would say like if you look at Luke Shaw's sort of blocking and that, Ben Chilwell, Luca Dini, João Cancelo, and Andy Robertson block less shots than the others. Like it's crazy with that one. But overall, I think Luke Shaw fares quite well against these sort of left backs. I don't think Luke Shaw is better than Andy Robertson personally. I think Andy Robertson, he's been sort of like one of the few players for Liverpool that has actually played consistently well despite their bad form. I think he's actually a very good player, Andy Robertson.
I agree with that.
Ben Chilwell, I think he leaves a lot to be desired defensively, personally, from what I've seen of him. But he's done okay for Chelsea at times, particularly in the beginning of the season. I think recently he's been okay, but nothing special. Kieran Tierney's been quite good for Arsenal, to be fair. Same with Luca Dini. I think he's been quite good. But in terms of defensive contributions, I don't think there's much between them. I think they're all very, 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 very good. There was a stat I was looking at. There was a big difference. Yeah, this one here. Ooh, my bad. Fouls per 90. There's a big difference between Luke Shaw and the rest of them with his fouls per 90. We spoke about Luke Shaw wanting to commit. He does commit a lot of fouls from what I noticed. And this is a positional issue at times as well with Luke Shaw. Sometimes Luke Shaw's doing a tactical foul. Sometimes he's being smart. Every player does it. Fernandinho is like known for doing it at Manchester City. But Luke Shaw does give away silly fouls at times for no reason. Sometimes he doesn't position himself well. Sometimes he's not recovering well enough, and he sort of, you know, when he's running back and he clips a player.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
He does that a lot. Yeah.
Especially this season, I think. I could be wrong, but it seems like it happens more this season. Maybe because he's higher up the pitch more often.
Yeah, he's higher up the pitch and he's trying to recover. I don't. I think because we rely so much on our left side offensively, Luke Shaw has to commit, because if he doesn't, we start to get those sort of performances from him where he doesn't commit enough. People complain that his outputs aren't good enough. He's not putting enough balls into the box. He's not going into areas that can progress us forward. So I think it's sort of worth it, even though he's committing these fouls and we do perform poorly at set pieces. I think Luke Shaw this season, it's sort of been worth it because his offensive contributions have been fantastic. So I sort of understand it, but I think he can be better with it, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, João Cancelo does the same thing. He's not quite as bad as Luke Shaw, but a lot of the better left backs do it. If they commit forward, usually they will make a foul on the way back because they won't get booked for it so much. Especially if you clip someone as you're running back, it's not seen as a tactical foul, is
and then
it?
it comes like it can come across as a coming together, as they say. But
yeah, exactly. Even though technically it's sort of on purpose, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
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 But overall, I think Luke Shaw fares well against the other left backs defensively. I think his offensive contributions, you're going to see a big difference. And bear in mind, like as I said before, I am not the biggest stats person. I just want people to see sort of
some people are big on stats.
Yeah, and they'll understand this a lot better than I will, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I do get shocked by a lot of stats, but I like to, I'm pretty much the same as you. I test and then go look at the stats. Yeah. I think that's what people should do, really, right, in terms of football. Watch the game, watch a player, and then see if the stats back up what you're seeing. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't, and it doesn't mean you're wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, that sometimes I think when Danny was doing his he was comparing midfielders, do you remember, a couple of weeks ago on his channel? Yes. And I was there with him, and some of the stats really shocked me as well, like the Jorginho stat. That one it did surprise me. His forward passes, like his key passes, and that was really low, really low. But overall, I think Luke Shaw's stats sort of back up what we've been saying anyway. Defensively, like he's good. He's always been quite good defensively. Still things to improve on, but he's been solid overall. He hasn't made too many glaring errors. I think a lot of the errors that he has made has been alongside other errors of other defenders, so it's masked a little bit because other players get a lot more stick in our team than Luke Shaw. So it's easy for the people to overlook Luke Shaw's errors in those situations. But he has made a couple, but not like major blunders, personally. So I wanted to look at 3 parts of his game that are really underrated. That's his dribbling, his passing, and his crossing. I think he's really good on all 3 things. I think his ball carrying ability is fantastic. The way he drives the ball, his dribbling is really underrated. Like he's not Neymar on the ball. He's not gonna, do a roulette or anything like that. But he's very good on the ball.
Yeah, he likes to do this thing where he cuts inside. So he cuts inside a man, and then there'll be the midfielder, and he touches it with the outside of his left foot, and then likes to put the cross in. He does that move quite a lot, actually. And he's very good at driving forwards with the ball. If the gap opens up in front of him, he'll drive towards goal with the ball. I love that about him.
Yeah. When I talk about his composure, you can see in this image, right? Like Martial, Fred, and Maguire. There's an Arsenal player next to them, all of them. So Luke Shaw passing to them is very difficult, especially passing inside. Luke Shaw can't pass to the outside because he's left-footed and he's already facing the other way. So he can't just pass it to Martial unless he nutmegs. Is it Pepe's number 19? Yeah. So he basically just turns. He has the composure to turn here because unless he blasts it up the field with his right foot, which will lead to us losing possession anyway. He doesn't want to do that.
Hope,
yeah. He wants to keep the ball, so he just turns and then he gets the ball, and plays it forward. All of a sudden, there's a lot of space for him to actually drive into, and the team can push up the pitch. It's composure. He wasn't doing this before. He would just clear it before. He's confident. He's composed, and he can execute it. Like he's a lot better with his feet than people give him credit for. And this one's against Brighton. This is what you were talking about with the driving. He has options here. He can pass it. He can pass it infield to Marcus Rashford. He can pass it wide to Bruno. He's like, nope. I'm just going to run straight through into the half space, and then he gets fouled.
Yeah.
So we get a free kick on the edge of the box. Good bit of play by him.
He's got good feet,
He does have good feet. We're going to show an image of it now. Actually, it's when he floors Thiago. I had to get this image in. You just see Thiago on the floor here. Good little bit of feet against Liverpool. You can see the players that are around him here. I think that's like Trent, Fabinho, and Thiago. Not bad players to just, get past. And he does really well. So he does have like good dribbling ability. He has good feet, as you said. He drives with the ball. He's confident with it as well. He's happy to just, get the ball forward now, which again is a testament to how his mentality this season. He's so much more confident. He's so much happier. He's enjoying his football this season, which is great for us. And he's contributed, as we've said before. His relationship with Rashford is fantastic as well, which we'll have a look at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the bit I'm most interested in. Is is what you've come up with when it comes to the relationship between Luke Shaw and Rashford. Because most of our football's down the left-hand side, as we've explained. Well, you've explained in a previous video on the channel. Go and check it out, please, people.
Yeah, I mean, we looked a little bit at the West Ham game and the other Liverpool game where they played a 1-2 and Luke Shaw was using the overlap.
Yeah.
But this is the goal against Manchester City. Look at where he picks up the ball. This is like basically at the beginning of the second third of the pitch, and he makes a run with the ball. He gets the ball from David De Gea. It's a good throw by David De Gea. And this is where he releases the ball to Marcus Rashford. So he's run a good length of the pitch with the ball. He's confident, gets the ball back, and scores against Manchester City. Luke Shaw would never have done this last season. He might have driven to this area. Like, you know, he might have driven here.
And then played it inside.
Yeah. But he wouldn't have gotten he wouldn't have gotten to this point. So he's very, very confident at the moment. His intention to attack is what's really impressed me this season, and his ability to get back from that is great. Like he's just a different player, and it's so nice to see because when we bought him, I was so happy we got him. I thought, wow, this is going to be a really good signing for us.
He was killing it at Southampton, wasn't he?
He was doing well in his first few games as well. So when he got injured, I was devastated for him. I really, really was. Like, as someone who's been through a horrendous injury, like, I can't play football anymore because of my injuries. So I feel for him. I'm so glad that his career is like back on the right path and that. So,
yeah, it is very rare that a player comes all the way back to where they were before. You know, getting the play you thought you'd signed, and then he struggles a bit, gets a leg break. Because he was actually coming into form under LVG. Yeah, he was. You know, before that leg break, he was on his way back up, which was a real shame. And yeah, I mean, these things take time sometimes. I'm just so pleased that he's come back. It's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember Eduardo for Arsenal? What happened to him?
Yeah. I do. I remember.
I mean, that was horrendous. And like, do you know what it was? Arsenal fans, like, it's to be debated, but Arsenal fans believe that if Eduardo didn't get injured when he did, that they could have won the league. I don't agree with it, but I understand why they thought it. But
I mean, he was an outstanding player. I'll be honest. I rated him very, very highly.
Absolutely.
And I do remember the tackle. Put it like this: I don't think they'd show that on TV now.
No, they didn't at the time, did they? They didn't. They sort of kept it.
No, they did show it. They showed it on Match of the Day. They did.
Oh, I did not watch Match of the Day then.
They did. Yeah, so I was watching the game live, and then on the evening I was watching Match of the Day, and they showed it on Match of the Day. They wouldn't. That tackle was that bad. They wouldn't be showing it now.
Yeah, it was horrible, horrible tackle.
It was I say the tackle was that bad. It was a bad tackle, but it was also a freak accident.
Yeah, do you know what? Basically, it's a thing where it wouldn't have been a red card if his leg didn't break. Basically, I don't think it would have been a red card.
I can see the image. That image will never leave me.
Yeah, it was horrible image. Nope. We're gonna have a look at Luke Shaw's passing. I think Luke Shaw's a very, very good passer, by the way. I think it's not something that he's improved on or anything. I think he's always been a decent passer of the ball. It's just where he's picked up the ball in previous seasons hasn't been in advanced positions. So you haven't been able to see those sort of key passes or smart passes, as people would call them, in the offensive areas. But I think he's always been a decent passer. This is a different angle to the one we looked at against Crystal Palace. Do you remember when I said that Marcus Rashford should be running into this sort of area?
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke Shaw's running with the ball here, and he's being chased, and obviously he's being closed down from one side, from both sides. He's being sort of people trying to stop him from getting the ball in, and then there's three players here. As I said, Marcus Rashford wasn't in a good position; like he shouldn't have been there. But it was a very good pass from Luke Shaw to be running with the ball and to make it, and for it to be accurate. And the weight of pass was very good as well. If Luke Shaw doesn't do the right weight of pass, we just lose the ball here. He's got a very good weight of pass, Luke Shaw, and a lot of people. They think a good pass is that it's reached the player that it's intended to reach. But a good pass isn't just that. A good pass is a good way to pass. Too often, I'm not going to say the names of the players that are guilty of this, but too often players, they tend to take off the pace of the ball when they're passing. So the person who's intended to get the ball, they have to break stride when they get the ball, which is really annoying, or they have to like sort of come back for the ball and drag it along with them. They lose a bit of pace on the ball, and basically teams can get back into their shape quicker. Luke Shaw's very good with his weight of pass. He actually gets the ball, he drives it into players, but he doesn't just smash it into them. Like, he has a good weight of pass. And here he passes it to Martial, and he drives forward. So he passes it to Martial. Martial will play it back to him when he drives forward, and he'll play a nice pass to Marcus Rashford. Now, this kind of pass to Marcus Rashford has been done quite a few times, because when Marcus Rashford is in the central areas, we know that he just loves to use his pace to get in behind the two centre backs.
Straight run.
He's not someone that's going to pin centre backs. He's not going to have his back to goal. He doesn't like playing that way. He will just run onto the ball. Luke Shaw finds these sort of passes. Whenever Marcus Rashford is in these areas, Luke Shaw tends to find him from the left side. He does it quite often, which is great as well.
Just so everyone knows, the yellow arrows are the runs that Luke Shaw's making, and the red arrows are the ball being played. So that one. That's,
apologies. I'm so sorry. I should have explained that.
No, it's all right. No. Most people will get it, but just for anybody, anybody who doesn't.
Yeah. Yellow is runs, red is pass. Luke Shaw's link up in and around the box is very good as well. He actually had, I don't know if you remember when he had a good season back in 2018. I think he was voted player of the season that season.
That's right, yeah.
But his relationship with the left wing was actually Martial, not Rashford. And he actually developed a very good relationship with him. He still does to an extent, but Martial's having his own issues this season. That's no one else's fault apart from his own, by the way, before anyone complains about that. Martial's having his own issues. But Luke Shaw does link up very well with Martial and Rashford, usually. He sees little passes like this, and he does execute them. And again, the weight of pass means that players like Martial and Rashford, who like to run into the box very quickly, good acceleration, can run onto the ball, and there will be no issues there. They're happy to get the ball from Luke Shaw. And this is another similar ball. Luke Shaw again. You can see Marcus Rashford, he's sprinting, and Luke Shaw will find Marcus Rashford in the center of the pitch as well. So Luke Shaw's always, when Marcus Rashford is in central areas, Luke Shaw will find him, because he knows the kind of runs that Marcus Rashford is going to make. Whenever we're playing against a team that has their line just a little bit too high, Luke Shaw, or even our central midfielders, but Luke Shaw especially from the left side, he will try and find Marcus Rashford. He's very good at doing that. And again, the weight of pass. These kind of balls, they're not easy to do. When you get it behind get it behind the defensive line, you have to make sure that it sort of curves inward enough so that it's away from the goalkeeper as well. Yeah. So it's actually quite a difficult thing to execute. Luke Shaw does it quite often now. He does it a lot more than what he used to, especially when Marcus Rashford is playing in a central area. And he just knows Marcus Rashford's going to make the run, because it's a Marcus Rashford run, isn't it? That's how Marcus Rashford scores a lot of his goals when he's playing as a striker. That's how he will do it. This pass here I put in because this is a really, really good pass. And it's a smart pass as well, because we spoke about the patterns of play that happen on the left side, right? Bruno going into half spaces, Marcus Rashford dropping deeper, things like that happen on the left side. In this situation, Marcus Rashford and Martial are more towards the right side, and Cavani is in between the two centre-backs in the centre of the pitch. That means there's no one on the left. No one on the left here. And Pogba is behind sort of the play at this point. So Luke Shaw does have the option of playing it into Paul Pogba, to be fair, but he goes for the switch towards Martial, and he executes it. Fantastic weight on the pass, gets the ball to Martial. He did really, really well here, because his other option was probably to take on the fullback here, but he chooses not to do it. He opts to go for the pass, because when it comes to one-on-one, Luke Shaw taking on players one-on-one, like fullbacks, he doesn't do that often. He's more of a player that will run onto the ball, and he'll take the ball in his stride and just run with it, as opposed to dribbling past a player one-on-one. He doesn't take on players. That's not his game at all. So he'd rather make the pass, and he makes the pass very, very well. And this one's against Spurs. I love this pass. Outside of it, it was just so
outside
casual.
Of the foot, yeah,
outside of the foot.
Great pass.
Good pass from him. And again, Luke Shaw coming into a central area before, he wouldn't come into these areas. He'd usually just stay further back on the left side. He wouldn't even contribute to the attack. So he's doing that a lot more now. And he's contributing in different areas of the pitch. He's taking set pieces as well. He's a set piece taker when we play on the right side. He's always doing the in-swinging corner. So he's doing really well with that overall. And I think his passing and his crossing ability is fantastic, which we're going to have a look at as well with his crossing.
This pass shows his confidence.
Yeah.
Last season, he would have popped that ball off. He wouldn't have played that cross at all.
He probably would have played it to to Maguire or something, and then Maguire played it into.
But to Rashford. Play that, to put that ball in with the outside of your foot, that's not an easy thing to do when you're under pressure as well. It's that shows confidence. And
again, it's confidence and it's composure, isn't it? Like when he's very good on the ball, he knows what to do on the ball. He's happy to make those sort of plays, and that's a massive difference between him now and him before. He's just confident, and he gets better and better at these kind of things. He's contributing a lot more, which is great. Gonna have a look at his crossing now. Actually, his crossing is very, very good. Actually, see quite a few. He's gotten a few assists. Actually, he's gotten a few assists, and he tends to put the ball into very, very good areas. You can see here, we've actually got 5 players in the box, including Harry Maguire, who we know is a menace in the air. Although he does fail to get his headers on target at times.
He's still clearing them at the other end at the moment. So it'll come. It will come.
Yeah, but Luke Shaw is finding, like, he's putting the ball into the right sort of areas. In this sort of area here, where there's quite a few players, and McTominay has room to run onto it as well, which is great. That's not what I was supposed to do. Sorry. This one is for Martial's goal.
Yeah.
Again, another cross into the box. Pinpoint, very good cross. Martial scores a header. We don't see Martial score many headers, but he's going to score from this one because the ball was fantastic, and it is actually a very good header from him. To be fair,
those are the crosses you want, where the striker doesn't have too much to do.
Exactly. He doesn't have to run onto anything. The movement doesn't have to be anything. He literally jumps up in the air and he heads the ball into the net. And this one's for Bruno Fernandes against Everton.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, no. Was it Everton? It was Everton, wasn't it? When he scored the 2 goals. Yeah, it was Everton. Yeah, so he scores a goal here. This one here, Bruno Fernandes runs onto it. So it lands in this sort of area, and Bruno runs onto the ball. Good crossing from Luke Shaw. The only thing I would say with Luke Shaw with his crossing sometimes is that when he can play the ball into the box first time, he doesn't always do it, and he tends to pass backwards after. He will stop it, turn, and then play the ball backwards. That's something that he needs to improve on as well, especially if you have Cavani in the box.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you think that should change depending on who's playing through the middle? So, for instance, a Martial likes a cut back, so then maybe you would cut the ball back for him, obviously. But Cavani wants the ball quick.
Yeah.
So he needs to put that ball in first time. He's going to make that run straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it a few times with Martial, but Cavani more so. When Cavani's in the box, like you see, sometimes Cavani's movement's fantastic. When he tries to make the run to the front post, and Luke Shaw doesn't make that cross, he gets frustrated. We've seen so many times he gets frustrated with Rashford or Luke Shaw or AWB or whoever.
Yeah, or Greenwood.
He wants the ball quickly. Yeah, or
James,
Greenwood.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's something that Luke Shaw does need to improve on. But overall, I think Luke Shaw's crossing is very, very good. Like I said, these contributions are much, much better.
Yeah.
And what did you think of Luke Shaw this season? How do you feel about Luke Shaw?
Like I said earlier, I feel like he's the Luke Shaw that I watched at Southampton. That's the last time I remember Luke Shaw really being that much of a threat around the box, and just those runs that he makes, just bombing down the wing, not with the ball, but a lot of the time. But occasionally he will. If the space opens up, he'll drive with the ball.
Yeah,
I like how confident he is, and that's why I've said about the Tellez coming in and that driving him forwards, because I do think that he needed that bit of a push. But like you say, that there probably are a lot of factors to it, but he just seems happy and confident, and whether that comes down to management, whether that comes down to him feeling fully fit, Tellez coming in and having competition in there, a relationship built with Rashford on the wing, whatever that may be, it's great to see a player come back from an injury like that and know that he's 25 years old for Manchester United. That he could still be doing this at 30 years old.
And the thing is, he could become a centre back later on. Like he's what, 6 foot. He's already shown that he's got.
Yeah, he's taller than he looks.
Yeah, he can play as a centre back. He might prefer to play in a 3, maybe. We never know. But in the future, he could play as a left centre back. He could even play as, dare I say it, a central midfielder later on in his years, because he's not in terms of like at the highest level, but he could fill in those sort of areas. There's different things that he can do. I think he's very good on the ball. I don't think he's like going to be some, elite Steven Gerrard type. Nothing like that. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I'm not convinced about the centre midfielder. I do.
Do you know what it is? He filled in as a central midfielder for us as a left back. It's really weird. I'd have to get the images to show you how he positioned for us under Mourinho. What Mourinho did to him, no wonder Luke Shaw.
You're not forgiven him yet.
Do you know what it is? What Mourinho made him do was so shambolic to me, because what he did, as I said, he made him play as a left centre back / left back / left central midfielder, because he covered for Paul Pogba whenever Paul Pogba went forward. And then he expected Luke Shaw to get up the pitch as well and then come back. He was doing too many roles at once. I hated it. Every time I saw it and people were casting Luke Shaw, I was like, I wish you saw what I was seeing, because I don't know, like you just, I wish we were on YouTube at that time so I could cast Mourinho for it, like back then. Honestly, what he did to Luke Shaw was shocking. Don't get me wrong, Luke Shaw had his own issues. He was slightly overweight. He wasn't fit. I understand all of that. But do not underestimate what Mourinho did to this player as well. Mourinho, and imagine him saying that, Luke Shaw was playing with Mourinho's brain as well. Do you remember when he was saying that it was Mourinho who was telling him what to do constantly when Luke Shaw had a good game?
Yeah.
When I read that, I was just like, how dare you? Honestly, like, he has a good game. Give him confidence and let him build on it. Don't put him down after you've basically destroyed his confidence in the first place. You're not encouraging him to play the position that he should be playing in. I just it drives me insane. Some of the things that Mourinho did, it did drive me insane.
There's only one Jose.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm going to say on that.
Yeah. I'm not going to go through all these stats, and I don't expect anyone to. Danny gave me a lot of stats, and I sort of took out a lot of them because I wanted to go for like percentages, just to show how effective sort of Luke Shaw is compared to the others. There's so many stats here, and like I said, you don't need to go through all of them. But Luke Shaw, again, he's contributing the same way as the other left backs. He's taking less shots. I think him and Luca Dini are up there. There's a massive difference between those two and the other left backs. But look at his percentage. So he's taking less shots, but he has more on target. I think he should shoot more in certain positions, because he does have a good shot on him. Whether he has the confidence to do that more regularly, we don't know. I can understand why he wouldn't, but he's sort of focused more on the creative side of things, isn't he? He's more focused on the crossing aspect and linking up with Rashford. But if he is in those positions to shoot, I think he should try and shoot more.
I mean, if he cuts inside and it opens up for him, we've seen him do it before. He should shoot more often, definitely.
Yeah, but this there was a clip I was looking at. I should have added it to this video, but he actually got into the box and he shot it with the outside of his left foot. I can't remember who it was against. I think it might have been against Leicester, maybe, or something like that, where he was in a really good position, like in the center of the box, and he shoots at the outside of his left foot. He doesn't get the accuracy on it that he should. If he goes with his right, he could try and place it. He doesn't need power in that situation. He just needs to place it into the corner, which is where I realized he's actually, like, all the clips that I've seen of him, left foot, doesn't use his right foot very often. So yeah, but I think Luke Shaw overall this season, I think he's just been consistent. He's made improvements. His contributions in attack have been fantastic. Like we said before, his positioning needs to be a bit better offensively and defensively, but they are better than what they were. He just needs to improve them further and be a bit more consistent. But for me, the biggest thing is the closing down crosses. That's the biggest weakness for me.
Yeah.
100% defensively. And yeah, as he's getting into his prime years, his leadership qualities, his organization skills, solidifying what he's doing now, and keeping it consistent for those years. I think he'll be a great left back for us for the next 5 years. And I'm really happy with what he's done this season. Like, really happy with him.
Yeah, I think everybody is.
Yeah.
Unless you're below second in the Premier League, then you're probably not too happy with him. But no, it's great. It's great to see a player coming back from injury like that, and performing the way he is performing. Yeah, and who knows? He could still be playing for Man United when he's 31, 32. I'd hope at that age we're not in the same position when it comes to transfers, and we are looking at another left back to come in.
No, you have too much hope.
Yeah, maybe I do. But yeah, no, it's great to see, and I can only see him getting better. And unless he gets another big injury.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, but that's the only way I can see him dipping at all. But great presentation, brilliant. I think it's really educational. People will love that when they see it. If you are watching it back, please subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video for us. Leave your comments in the bottom.
Watch out for the polls as well that Indiana's doing, because you get to choose your next player focus.
Yes, player focus. Yes, definitely. So go and follow us on Twitter. That's in the description as well. If you're on Twitter, if not, then just leave it as a comment. That the player that you want us to do a focus on, and there will be more. Rachel's going to start doing some breakdowns on games. So we're going to do Spurs tomorrow. Is that right? Yeah,
we're going to do the Spurs game. There's a lot to talk about in that game, and it's not just going to be Man United focus as well. I want to have a look at the opposition teams, and hopefully we'll have some opposition fans coming on, and they can talk about it with us as well, which would be really good.
A completely different style of review. I'm looking forward to it. But yes, thank you everyone for watching. Again, please subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video, and follow us on the socials. And the United will be back tomorrow. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, just thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, and let me know any feedback you have and things that you want me to improve on or discuss for future player focuses. I'm all here for the feedback, so please let me know. And thank you for watching.